Hello and welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to be speaking about different relationships that you might have as a sports analyst. So for the sake of this video, we're going to be going by my experiences from a football team. So we're going to imagine that you are a football analyst, so you're a traditional analyst that kind of travels with the team. You know, your responsibility is to obviously analyze your team, but also prepare for the upcoming games, and you're working closely with the players and the coaches and other staff. So that's the kind of role that we're going to base this video on. So as I spoke about before, you're working a lot when you're working especially in a football team, for example. So if you are working for a professional club, you'll find that you're doing a lot of hours, and you almost become a family with the other support staff. So you're probably you will be spending more time with the people that you work with than anyone that you live with at this point. So it's important that you have those bonds, and they will be created. And that kind of team spirit is one of the things which a lot of analysts say is what's so good about their job. So, they're actually going to work. Everyone's working towards that kind of common goal. People are getting on. It can be a very, very good atmosphere when things are going well. And so that is why it can be a positive kind of working environment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through different roles and different kind of people within the club that you will, or you may have dealings with. You may have to kind of work alongside. You might have to deliver certain presentations to, etc. So just to give you an idea of, if you are to work in a club, if you're not in that position just yet, what you can expect when you're in that particular role. So before we get into it, obviously this does depend. What I'm going to say is not the case for every single club. Some clubs have way more staff than others. Some you might only have a couple of people to deal with and work with, but others you may have way, way more. So we're going to just base it on the average club. So the first one that we're going to go into is the head coach or manager. So obviously this is an important person in the club. So, this is the person that probably is, although there will be more senior people at the club, this is probably the most senior person that you'll be mostly dealing with, I would say. So this is obviously the person that picks the team. This is the person that has a lot of pressure when it comes to winning games. And your job is to basically be there for the manager or the head coach, give them exactly what they need, and be there whenever they need any help and support. So this is someone that, although you might not share a actual office with them, they might probably have their own office, you'll be spending a lot of time with this person. So it might be that your presentations, they might be designed by you, or basically designed together, and you kind of deliver them together, or they have close input on what you're delivering, or vice versa. So it's a relationship that's obviously a very strong one, so that there's got to be some trust between the two of you. So, and this is also linked to something we've mentioned in previous videos, is that you will find in some cases that the relationship between the coach, the head coach or the manager, and the analyst is so strong that whenever the manager moves to another club, they are happy to bring their analyst with them, or take their analyst, wherever they go. So we've seen that a lot of different times before. So it just goes back to having that trust and just knowing how people work. So if the manager or the coach really digs how you get on, they can trust you, they know exactly that they can basically get everything they want from you, then they're more likely to kind of be in that position where they can say, okay, wherever I'm next, I want this guy with me because he knows exactly how I work. So it's a very strong relationship, and it's one that you will have to deal with pretty much every day. And again, you travel into the game, so obviously the manager's there, you're on the coach together, and then you're obviously having a lot of time with this particular person. So the next one on this list I'm going to say is other coaches, and by this I'm going to define it as assistant coaches, or the goalkeeper coach, or the set piece coach, for example. So from my experience, these kind of people within the club might, obviously, they've probably got whether they're in the same office or not is kind of not that important at this point, but they may come to you for different favors. So they might come to you with a player, for example, or a group of players. So for example, the goalkeeper coach might do a goalkeeping session with or an analysis goalkeeping session with you, him, and the other, the goalkeepers within the club. So they might come with different requests, and again, they might just want to lean on you and kind of ask for certain little bits and pieces which are going to assist them in their role specifically. So I will say that modern coaches are now a lot more skilled than they used to be. So a lot of coaches nowadays can basically do the basics when it comes to analysis and new software, etc., which wasn't the case, say, maybe 10, 15 years ago. So you might not get that as much, but again, it just comes down to that kind of bonding and team building, because again, you're going to be spending a lot of time with these particular people when you're going to be traveling to the games with them as well. So that is the other coaches. I've done the manager, or the head coach, and the other coaches, and the next one is the players. So obviously a football team is nothing without the group of players. So the players are the ones that you're there to serve the players. So the end of the day, the goal is to win football matches, and the only way you're going to do that is by having a team that's successful on the actual pitch. So the interesting thing about this is that players come in all shapes and sizes. So if you've let's say you're in the average club, you might have an academy player, you might have a young player that's just broken into the first team, you might have a 35-year-old veteran that's been in the game way, way longer than you. So all of these different players have different learning styles. You probably interact with them differently as well. So it's about being adaptable and basically having good communication skills. So how you deliver something to one person will be totally different, potentially how you deliver it to somebody else. So the players are going to be seeing you there, obviously at the training ground and at the games and stuff all the time. So again, about that trust. And, if you are one that delivers the presentation yourself, or if you're part of that kind of delivery process, then again, the players are going to be seeing you all the time with that. And they can then also come to you for odd requests. They might come and ask for certain things that they want to review themselves, and just kind of show some clips with them, or maybe look at some stats, etc. So the players are obviously very important, because the team wouldn't be anything without them. Okay, so before we move on to the next one, I want to quickly ask you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So like I said in a previous video, up to, I think it's about 75% of people that are viewing these videos are not yet subscribed. So you are sneakily watching them, but you haven't clicked the subscribe button. So, it's really not that hard, is it? So just go down, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you feel like leaving a comment, do so, and also like the video if you're finding this useful. So also underneath the video in the description, there is a link to a totally free email newsletter. So all I do is I send you one email every single week on a Sunday afternoon about the industry, about how to get a job in sport, tips and hints and all that sort of stuff. And that is totally free. So you can sign up down below the video as well. So like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please do. It helps the channel to grow, and it helps me to make more videos just like this. Okay, so the next group of people or persons that you're going to have a working relationship with is quite an obvious one, really, is other analysts. So let's kind of go back to the start when I said this is based on a traditional analyst role. So if you think about it, the other analysts that you will have, most teams nowadays have a department of analysts. Obviously, that is dependent on how big the club is, but you might have an assistant analyst, you might have a set piece analyst, you might have a data analyst, you've probably got academy analysts, you've got recruitment analysts. So typically you might share all the analysts might share an office. Again, it might be split between first team and academy. It all depends on what the club setup is. But going by my experience, I can remember when I worked at Brighton, we had one big office for all the analysts. So everyone chipped in together. Although everyone had different roles, we could always kind of lean on each other to help out if we needed favors, or if we were kind of working to a tight deadline that we needed to kind of hit that we were struggling for, if there's lots of games. So you can definitely have lots of other analysts in your department, and you should really take advantage of that as well. So you can all help each other out, you can learn from each other and help to get things done. So it's a very close-knit team. So it's almost like a team within the team. So like I said, you can all learn from each other, and basically sometimes that is kind of overseen by a head of analysis. So that could be you in this position, let's say, but you might have a kind of someone that kind of looks after all of the analysts as well. So that's technically another person that you might have a working relationship with. So if you just kind of go an example of that, so let's just say the set piece analyst, for example, you and that person are going to probably be working closely on the pre-match presentation, as is maybe the data analyst is going to be chipping in, and then the data analyst can be chipping in helping the recruitment analyst. So there's lots of kind of ways in which all of these kind of different analysts work together. Again, just going back to that, achieving the same goal, basically. Everyone wants to win, make the team better, and that's kind of what we need to do, all chip in and help each other out. So the next one we're going to speak about is the sports science department people, or strength and conditioning coaches, etc. So personally, I think there's a bigger link between analysts and these guys that maybe people realize, and I think it all comes down to data. So although you may be collecting kind of data on the number of, let's say, passes and attacking entries and all that sort of stuff, those guys are collecting what we would call probably physical data. So how fast someone's running, much distance covered, etc., etc. So that data can obviously be put together, and you can kind of see some kind of interesting insights from that. So they might obviously work with you in terms of looking at video, and you can kind of pull data from them and kind of all work together, again, collaborating to achieve the same goal effectively. So to summarize, the sports scientists, obviously those are part of the coaching team just as much as you as an analyst, or the goalkeeper coach, or the assistant coach. So again, just one other part of that backroom staff. So again, you're going to be traveling with, you're going to spend a lot of time with these people. So it's important to have a good and solid relationship. So another one that you may have some dealings with is the team physio, or the doctor, for example. So although this is probably not going to be a common relationship that you're going to, you're not going to be speaking to this person all the time and kind of dealing with a lot, but there will be times that you may have to kind of cross paths. Again, from my experience, I've had doctors or physios ask for certain videos of different injuries so they can help to diagnose an injury, for example, if you've got a different angle of it. So again, that's just kind of a basic kind of way in which this relationship might work. But again, it's just another part of the team. So it's just looking at that whole kind of backroom staff, the team doctor and the physios. They are part of it as much as any other guys. Is probably a very important part of it, to be honest. So they'll probably have a closer link with the sports scientists and strength and conditioners. But again, it's just another kind of person or persons to be aware of within the club. So the next one we're going to talk about is the recruitment team. So I've already mentioned recruitment analyst, but here I also mean the head of recruitment and scout. So as an analyst, you have a lot of knowledge and information on players in your league and your own squad, which can be used to lean on when making recruitment decisions. And the recruitment team may ask for footage or data on specific players, and you may also use scouting reports to add more detail to your pre-match presentations, for example. Okay, so the last one we're going to talk about is the head of football or technical director. So this person will be overseeing the whole football department. So although you may not have, regular day-to-day interactions with this person, they will pretty much be your boss. So although, let's say you have, you might actually have a boss in between this boss. So let's say you're the analyst, you might report firstly to the head of analysis, and then the head of analysis will report to the head of football or this technical director role. But if you don't have that one in between, then technically this person is your boss. So depending on the club setup, that's kind of whether you go, more direct to this person or you kind of got a go-between. But this person is obviously a very important part of the club. They are overseeing analysis as one thing. They're also overseeing kind of recruitment, strength conditioning, and anything basically related to the football club. It is their job to oversee and optimize. Okay, so although that you're not communicating directly with them on a day-to-day, they will likely be seeing you. They'll be seeing you around the building. They'll be seeing your work, and they might be consuming some of your reports, for example. So they're going to be aware of what's going on. It's their job to be aware, and they'll also be getting kind of they'll be meeting regularly with the manager, so they'll be making sure that the manager is happy with their backroom staff, for example. So although, like I said, you might not speak to this person all the time because, again, this person's not someone that travels on the team bus to all of the games, for example. So, you're not going to be having as much face-to-face contact. But again, it's a very important person within the club, someone that you want to respect, obviously look to impress as well, as they are a senior figure, basically. So, okay, so that's it for this video. So thanks again for watching. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button down below the video. Loads more videos that I've done previously are also linked down below as well. So thanks again for watching and have a great day.